We are back, and today's podcast is going to help you answer the question, what is your value as a buyer's agent?
That's right, because it's a fact. Buyer side commissions are no longer a guarantee, no longer an entitlement. August is here. I know. We feel you. All right, you can't just assume that you'll be receiving X% on every transaction. Though this seems like a whole new stress-inducing worry for many of you, the fact is that commissions have never been a set amount, just an expectation or a customary practice. And to prove that, just to give you some talking points with yourself and with your prospects, builders don't pay all the same buyer side commissions. Some builders don't pay any commission. For sale by owners, same thing. It's time to prove your worth on the buyer side, because now you may have to ask your buyers to pay all or some of your fees.
Now, here's what, again, I am trying to take into consideration the fact that some of you are not really fully apprised about the changes that are taking place this month to every real estate licensee in the United States. And here's the bottom line. Every single one of you are going to be required to have exclusive buyer agency contracts signed. Every single one of you are no longer going to have, essentially, when you sell a house that's not your listing, when you sell a listing, you're not automatically going to get anything. The listing agent is no longer going to, the way the co-ops have been done forever, practically forever, all those ways, it's all changing on, what is the 15th of this month, right?
Some states started it on the 1st.
Right. So what does that mean? Just like as if you are on the listing side of the transaction, you're trying to win a listing from a seller, you're going to have a very organized approach. You're going to have to completely know how to pre-qualify them. You're going to have to be able to send something that's akin to our pre-listing pack for sellers, that's what it's called. And for buyers, we've created something for you that's going to be very similar. In that pre-listing pack, let's just use that term for now. It's basically our ethical real estate professional presentation. But in that package of information is going to be all the, frankly, the questions, the gnarly questions that you're hoping to ever have the seller or the buyer ask you.
Objections.
And that's going to be the biggest issue that most of buyer agents are going to have, most of the industry is going to have, is they're so used to having the seller automatically pay the commissions. Now you're going to have to get the buyer to obligate themselves to pay your commission, or you're not going to be getting any commission from that buyer. So this package of information is going to act as your silent salesperson. It's going to do all the heavy lift for you. We are very excited about releasing this new program. It comes out at the end of this month, if not the first week in September. And remember, if you want on the list for an early release access to this new designation, please text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R to 47372. Do that right away. The first 100, and when we release the program, which should be a matter of weeks now. And why is it taking this long? Because there's a lot to it, frankly.
A lot.
A lot. More work than we've probably done creating a product in probably about 5 or 6 years.
Definitely.
And we can't delegate this because this is something, but honestly, it's fun, Julie, and I think it's going to be something we're really going to be proud of, because we're going to see all the agents are going to see this. They're going to go, holy crap.
It is a Swiss Army knife of tools for the buyer side.
Right.
Which, if we're being honest, I think that side of the business has needed it for a long time, but we have put it all in one place for you. So that brings me to my next thing. You can tell them how to get it. We skipped that. Go ahead.
Text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372. You will go on the list. When we release the program in a matter of weeks, like I said, I'm going to text everyone, someone from our team will text everyone and letting them know that the product is now available. The designation is now available to take on founding members in essence. Then the first 100 agents that join, then we're going to lock the program down for 30 days. Why? Because this is going to be a coaching program. Not only are you getting this really robust program, this entire system, but we're also going to give you coaching calls that go along with it. So it's only going to be available to 100 people. Then every 30 to 45 days, we're going to take on another 100 agents. And that's how we plan on releasing this program. We're very excited about this. Hopefully you are too. And if you've been feeling a lot of consternation and anxiety about these changes, when you learn about what we've got in store for you, you're going to breathe a sigh of relief. So text the word buyer, B-U-Y-E-R, to 47372. Do that right away.
And that will allow you to take advantage of a little known fact. And we talked a little bit about this on yesterday's podcast. With the new rules in place, you may be able to actually charge more than you were accustomed to. Now that you can ask for your fee as a concession in some cases and add it to the purchase price if necessary, why wouldn't you ask for a bit more? Well, if you weren't providing any value would be one reason, but assuming that you've got the buyer kit that we've been talking about, it is possible, especially after you've delivered your buyer presentation and shown your unique selling propositions and your guarantees. And this brings us to your burning question. Well, how do you provide overwhelming value to your buyer clients? How can you become more comfortable asking for an exclusive buyer agreement and along with it, an expectation to be paid for your hard work?
So what this is going to do, it's going to, I think, stoke the mental fires of how different things are going to be, say, September 1st, well, really this month as well, with regards to working with buyers. We're hoping that you have already tuned into the changes that are going to be necessary. And if you haven't, or if you're somewhere in the middle of accepting it and sort of being in denial about these changes that are forced upon all of us, this will open your mind to all the different things that you need to be taking in consideration when it comes to working with buyers.
Exactly, because remember that getting that exclusive buyer rep agreement signed is not an option. I know there's stuff online that says I can just opt out and do my own rules. That's not true. You would be out of compliance. And I had a coaching client in Pennsylvania tell me in Pennsylvania the fine for that is up to $15,000.
Well,
so
we did that
it's
interview.
not an option.
We did that interview with the broker of VXP
Yes.
Realty, overseeing 90,000 agents. And Holly said that many of the MLSs are going to have a 3-strike you're out policy, that if you're caught not in compliance with having the exclusive signed 3 times, you're going to be booted out of the MLS. And there's fines that are going to be paid they're going to be fined to the agent and to the broker. And we asked, well, how the heck is that going to happen? You're just going to get an invoice in the mail, essentially, a notification that you now have been found in violation of having an exclusive signed. I know this sounds ridiculous, but that is what the realities are. You now owe $500, and when you renew your MLS dues, you're going to have to pay whatever the fine was. That's going to go to the agent and the broker in some MLSs. I think it's overstepping. I think it's a little extreme.
So do I.
But it doesn't matter. It's what we're all having to live with. So you're going to have to accept these changes. Don't think that there's going to be something that's going to make it so it's going to be the way it was before, because it's not. But I'll tell you honestly, the reason I'm really excited about this. It's the same reason I'm really excited for all of our coaching clients that have been doing business, having exclusive signed for generations, is that you are going to have an unfair advantage in the marketplace when you have a locked down presentation. When you're able to sit in front of a buyer and the buyer is enthusiastic about working for you because A, they didn't realize what an agent truly does, and B, they didn't realize what you're going to do above and beyond what a normal agent does. They're going to want to work with you. That's really what this is all about. So just as listing agents forever have been having to sell their value to the prospective seller, you now have to sell your value to that prospective buyer, but we've done the heavy lifting for you. So again, text the word buyer to 47372.
All right, so top 5 ways. And in your presentation that we've been talking about, I think there's 7 pages on the left, 7 on, you've got 14 different ways. We're just doing the top 5 today. So fact, if you're doing anything for your buyer clients that if you're not doing anything for them that they can't do on their own, well, why would they hire you in the first place, much less pay your fee? Setting them up on a search isn't enough. The press has had a talking point that goes like this. Well, you, Mr. Buyer, you, Mr. Consumer, you've got Zillow too. What's the big deal about finding a house? You have to go way beyond and above that. Here's the goal that you've got. Provide such overwhelming value that you are all they talk about to their friends. Provide such value that getting the agreement signed is no issue whatsoever. Our coaching clients who have used this approach for years are wondering why everyone else is freaking out. Remember, the definition of a close, in this case asking for the signature, is the logical ending to a great presentation. So what are some of the ways that you're going to have a great presentation? What are some 5 ways to provide overwhelming value to those buyer clients?
Point number 1, present to your buyer clients in the same professional manner that hopefully you've been doing with your selling or your listing clients.
So use the buyer presentation where you outline exactly what the buying process is, what your role is, what the buyer's role is, and how you'll be working together to accomplish their goals. More and more, you'll start to compete for buyer business in a similar way that you do for listings.
Which is not going to be something agents are used to having do.
Nope.
That's going to be something that's going to change a lot of the rules and how people. But I'll tell you what I am hoping that somebody is going to say that we're crazy for saying this, and we believe in some markets, the really top tier agents that do truly deliver value, not just talk about it, are going to be able to charge more than a normal market commission on the buyer agent side. You heard what I said. You're in some markets going to be able to, let's say your average commission on a buyer side transaction has been 3% in your market, right? Let's just say. And because of these new changes, and why has it been 3%? Because generally speaking, that was the entitlement from the seller. Now, because of these changes, And because the value you're going to be able to show these buyers that you're presenting to them, you could actually charge more than what had been to the traditional co-op. Why would they be willing to pay it? Because you're going to show them, because you're going to be using our presentation from the ethical real estate professional designation, you're going to show them all that you're doing. They're going to appreciate what you're doing. And as we talked on previous podcasts last week, there are going to be multiple ways to get that buyer agent's commission paid. Obviously, traditionally, it's going to be, we're going to ask the seller to pay it as a concession, but we're going to show you other ways you can go about getting that commission paid in terms of, like, if the buyer doesn't have the money, well, guess what? It turns out that they can actually finance it as part of the purchase. You guys get it? These are all the things you're going to be learning. Open your mind and be excited. The worst thing for you to do is hide your head in the sand and say, well, I'll just sort all this out next year. The market's going to pass you by. You're not going to be part of the conversation next year because other agents are going to have this skill set. Do not procrastinate.
And after all professionals use a contract. You can't even get a filling at the dentist without signing an agreement, right? It's normal. So hasn't been, but now it is. All right, number 2, solve the inventory problem. Again, we're talking about providing value. Find them their dream home. Buyers are obsessed with finding their dream home, a home that meets as many of their needs as possible in the area they desire for the right price. It's your job, not theirs, to find the home for their needs. Stop waiting for them to send you a link to the house they want to see next. Drill down on their needs and get out there and find it. And be more creative in your MLS searches. Change the search area, change the type of home, or find an equally great school district with more or better inventory. Remove square footage as a requirement. Look for a 3-bedroom with a loft instead of only 4 bedrooms, for example. And you can refer to our podcast series about how to find inventory that's not in your MLS. Now, keep in mind, we've turned this into a USP for you.
That's
your
right.
unique selling proposition.
And what does that mean? When you're presenting your ethical real estate professional real estate designation, you're going to give them, Julie touched on this a second ago, you're going to give them, when in essence is your silent salesperson. It's a very organized presentation that is going to explain to them all the things that make you unique and why they want to work exclusively with you. The main one that I know that agents are really going to be excited about sharing with their prospects is beyond the MLS search guarantee. You're going to show them 19 ways that you're going to find them a home that's way beyond turning on the MLS and just looking. Because most buyers agents, buyers, let's be honest, are not going to put 3% plus value on the services you provide if what they think you're doing is just what they did on their mobile phone while they're waiting for you to show up at the appointments at Starbucks. You guys get my point? In other words, look on Realtor.com or Zillow.
That's right. You can't just be doing what they're doing and expect to, earn that commission.
Because they're going to say, why would I want to obligate myself to pay you this commission? I can just go directly to the listing agent, and I don't get where your value is, because I see the search of 6 homes you're excited to show me, but guess what? I have those same 6 homes along with the contact information of those listing agents right here in front of me. Why don't I just call them direct, and why don't we just skip this commission that you're asking me to pay? That's what's going to happen to the low-skilled agents in the marketplace. They're going to be washed away.
But not you, because you're going to have our designation, the ethical real estate professional, who uses the beyond the MLS search guarantee. Remember, Tim said there's 19 other ways or additional ways, not just the MLS, not just what they can do on their own. And guess what? I would say probably 17 out of those 19 things, they're not going to do, they can't do, they don't have the access that you do. This is providing overwhelming value, not to mention the time it takes to do those things.
Julie, there were a lot, for example, there's a lot of expired listings now.
Yes.
But there were a lot of expired listings from a year or two ago that never got relisted.
True.
That if you really want to be proactive, and this is just a tiny little idea for you, really want to prove your value to that prospective buyer, you're going to explain to them and maybe even show them a list of all the homes that are for sale. They're then going to say, well, I knew there were 6 homes for sale and where I want to look based on what Zillow told me. But now they're going to see all these other sources of inventory of potential homes that you can show them and sell them. They're going to be excited to work for you, but you're going to have to prove your value.
100%. And we have so many coaching clients that do that. I'm thinking about Kristen and Greg Holly in Fort Worth, Texas, right? So I loved my coaching call with them last week because they are such a demonstration of people who follow that. I think probably 80% of their deals, and they always have like at least 6 pendings at all times, are in-house. They call them matchmaker deals. That's what we call them in coaching, right? They are specialists at creating the opportunity for those buyers. Most of what they have pending was not in the MLS. They found it, they created the opportunity, and guess what? Their clients don't argue with them about signing things.
That's the reason, Julie, I think in many markets, agents like those two are going to be able to have an above market buyer's agent commission because
Yes.
they're proving the value. I mean, the traditional co-op with it being, the buyer agent commission being an entitlement to the transaction has actually, and I believe this is true, argue with me in comments if you'd like, it's been a hindrance to the true professional agents getting paid what the market is willing to pay them.
I think that's true.
Right. I mean,
do.
what are they going to do in the old regime where the seller was willing to pay 2.5%? And there was no exclusive buyer agency contracts. How exactly beyond a processing fee were you going to get that buyer to pay you more than whatever the co-op was? You weren't. But now, because you're doing all these extra things, and let's say they're looking in one of these many markets where there's still a lack of inventory, and you're not just saying what you're doing, you're showing them that you're doing it, why wouldn't they be willing to pay you more? Of course they will.
Of course they will. It is an employment contract after all. It's kind of like a finder's fee plus. So for example, even where Kristen lives, okay, Texas and Florida have the most inventory. Even where she lives, inventory is fairly abundant. So why is she earning more than average? Because she is finding very specific things. Her buyers will say, I want this neighborhood. I want to be on that side of the road. It's got to back up to a lake, and it's got to be at least 4,000 square feet. And you know what she says? She doesn't say, well, I'll put you, one of the things she does is put you in a drip, but she doesn't stop there. She says, you know what? Let's drill down on that because I'm going to go find it for you. That's very valuable, right?
And you're
especially, think about executives she's working with. They don't have time to go. Are they going to go door knocking?
No,
but she does.
Well, here's the thing: is that agents are really crappy. Non-coaching clients of ours are really crappy of showing consumers what they do, and that's the reason most consumers assume you don't do anything. So when you show the prospective buyer or a prospective seller exactly what your plan of action is, exactly what you're going to be doing, your communications guarantee, all your other service guarantees, what they get working with you, you're going to create, frankly, it's going to make you excited and proud to be in real estate because you're going to start winning over clients who've met with other agents who were not taking a formalized approach to getting the exclusive signed. Maybe they're just, haphazardly asking him to sign it without really explaining to the buyer anything. You're going to start picking up those types of buyers who are ready, willing, and able to purchase a home, but are looking for somebody who's going to be able to explain to them with clarity why the commissions are the
What
way
their
they
value
are.
is.
Right. That's what we're going to do for you, frankly, in the ethical real estate professional designation. You know what to do. Text the word buyer, BUYER, to 47372.
So the third thing that creates value from you is to know and present solutions to get better than average mortgage interest rates. Now, rates are going down, and this is on your side now and getting better. You don't have to know as much as your competent mortgage lender does, but you should be able to competently discuss 2-1 buy downs, adjustable rates, and how to pay points to lock in a lower rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage. Loop your lender in and have coffee with your buyer clients and lenders to discuss loan options that meet their goals.
I have to interject there. There are a lot of lame loan officers out there right now that do not know all the different products that are going to arise because he's lowering of rates. And we did a show yesterday on the fact that mortgage rates have fallen, and this is before the Fed has lowered rates. Julie gave you guys reasons to believe that the rate actually is going to drop by another full percent, which is going to put 30-year fixed rates in the 5% range. If, again, the economic data is adding more fuel to the fire and belief that there's going to be some sort of economic slowdown, Fed will lower rates aggressively. You're going to see mortgage rates fall, and all these things are going to lead to more opportunity for you. But you have to be working with a lender that can do Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac mortgages, because in most markets, 90%, if not more, of all your buyer clients are going to be doing essentially government-backed loans. And the government-backed loans, listen to what Coach Tim is telling you, have a way to let's say the house is $500,000. They can actually finance without adversely affecting their ability to obtain the mortgage, because this doesn't necessarily appraise, up to 6% on top of what the mortgage price is, or what the agreed to price is. So it's 500. They can actually finance 530, and within that 30, they can actually, that's where concessions are going to be paid oftentimes. We're going to teach you how to do this in the ethical real estate professional designation, but you could, in the case where the seller is unwilling to pay, which frankly we don't think is going to be the case. We think most sellers are going to be willing to pay. But let's just say you happen to come across a butthead seller, you could actually put your buyer's agent commission on top of whatever the purchase price is, thus netting the seller the same. Now, let's say for some reason the listing agent's not good at explaining how all this works. well, then you can put it still on top of the mortgage so the seller net's the same. And the added, because the payments are going to be lower because the lowering of interest rates, the added monthly payment that buyer's going to have to pay to cover your commission, even if it's on top of the purchase price, is negligible when you factor it out over 2 or 3 years. Because why? Homes are going to continue to appreciate if the trend that we've been seeing for years now continues, as there's no reason to believe it won't. Be excited about this. Do not be intimidated by the change to buyer agent commission. The great agents are going to rise to the top like never before.
Now, how does that play into your new buyer presentation? Well, guess what? It's got a page called Your Home Buying Team that talks about all of the people, like your great mortgage lenders and all of your professionals.
Home inspectors, title people.
That's right. From mortgage professionals to home inspectors, you've got them covered. That's also providing value, and it's in the presentation. Okay. Number 4, we talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to drill down just in a different way. Be a matchmaker. You must be more proactive than your buyer is. If they're dying to be in just one specific neighborhood, door knock that neighborhood for them to uncover the next motivated seller, for you to uncover them. If they're in a new construction price range but haven't considered it, go take a video of a home that could be a match for them and see where their thoughts are. If there's a for sale by owner in their desired neighborhood and price range, talk to that seller, take a video, set up a showing before your buyer does that without you. Now, note to self, also new pressure that you are going to feel. Some buyers are tempted to call the listing agent directly once they find the home they're interested in. Add to this the fact that they may be nervous about paying a buyer side commission, and you risk losing your buyer prospects because they're more proactive than you are in finding the right home. Again, we go back to the presentation, which will prevent that type of behavior because you're showing them that you're the one who's going to go find that. You're going to go talk to the FSBO, to the new construction. You're going to go door knock like Kristen does.
Like, for example, when you're trying to present to a seller, or you are successfully presenting to a seller, I remove the word trying, why they should list with you. One of the ways that you instill value, in other words, prove what you're worth, is you're going to show them your list to sell price ratio based on the last 10 or 20 or 1,000 homes that you've listed for other sellers. What was the percent that the house sold for versus the original asking price, list to sell price ratio? You're going to show to the seller your days in the market. You're going to show to the seller all the reasons why, in very black and white numerical proof, why you're actually worth what your commission is. And not only are you not going to cut your commission, but you might even charge an above market commission. That's what we've trained agents to do for generations in Premier Coaching. Now, you're going to be able to do the same damn thing on the buyer side. Now, if you're a new agent, you're going to have to use your team or your broker's statistics. Just make sure you asterisk that and you reference where you're getting those statistics from. But the moral of the story is you're going to have to learn how to be competitive. You're going to have to learn how to actually earn the right to work with that prospective buyer and get that exclusive sign. We are going to do all the heavy lifting for you. Sign up for this program. Well, it's not sign up yet. It's just get on the list to be invited to sign up for this program. Text the word buyer to 47372. Buyer to 47372, and we will show you everything. We'll explain it to you. We're going to be creating videos. Matter of fact, I'll say something. I'm not going to commit us to this, but we think so. There's 14 pages, basically unique pages in this presentation. We are considering actually doing videos for every single page. So there'll be the handout paper version of the presentation, which we definitely want all of you to use. It's more powerful than a digital version. We'll explain to you in the coaching program why that's true. But in the digital version, we're going to make it, so we're thinking about making it, so that when they click on a page to learn about what that page is all about, Julie or me, or maybe an AI version of us, will pop up and explain to the prospective buyer why that USP, what this actually means. So we're going to be doing the selling for you, in essence, so the buyer sees the value of working exclusively with you as an ethical real estate professional designee.
We're practically doing everything humanly possible to help you guys out. Okay.
By the way, on the listing side, we're doing an update to our listing program too through Premier Coaching. So Premier Coaching clients, all these changes are going to be benefiting you as well.
That's right. Fear not. All right. Point number 5, and I know we're giving you a lot. That's why we limited it to 5 things today that provides value. Provide additional value by being one step ahead once they're actually pending. Try to practice over communication. manage the inspection process so they don't freak out over small items, set up their utilities for them, recommend movers, homeowners insurance, and anything else to alleviate their stress. Show your value by making the process smooth and pleasurable instead of stressful and confusing.
And again, this is in the presentation that you're going to have. We're going to explain to them the whole process. So we're giving you an overview of some things you need to be thinking about, but we've actually already taken all these things in consideration and a lot more, and we're just going to give you the completed product. What our goal is that it's going to act as a silent salesperson for you. You're going to, the presentation will answer questions that maybe some of the buyers haven't even considered yet. So we're going to remove the elephant from the room with regards to the exclusive contract being signed, and they're going to see the value in signing with you. Absolutely become a designee, and then really learn as you earn. Don't say, I'm going to study it and I'm going to master it. Nope, we want you to go out there and start presenting the material as we've created it. Be excited about it. And if you're not ready to answer the questions yourself, ideally, if we have these videos all made by the time the product's released, you'll be able to have them click on the video and watch the video where we're going to explain it for you.
Well, so for example, a lot of you listening to point number 5 said, well, gosh, I do that. I provide additional value. I try to be one step ahead. I try to take care of their inspections and help them with their movers. I do all of that. The difference is that in the buyer presentation, you're taking that value, you're showing them that value. It's not enough to just say, hey, I'll take care of the inspections for you, right?
Well, set this one up better,
You're turning that into your communications guarantee where go ahead.
So the biggest complaint that everyone has after they buy or sell real estate, according to the National Association of Realtors, is they basically receive poor communication from their agent. So if anyone's bought or sold real estate before, and you ask them I like my realtor, Bob was nice, all these things were good. But look, so where would you rate Bob's communication? Chances are Bob was not a great communicator in the eyes of that prospective buyer or seller. Maybe Bob is a great communicator, but the buyer or seller wanted something different. Maybe they wanted more communication, less communication. So you're going to have a communications guarantee where you're going to tell the buyer how you're going to do it, what you're going to do. You're going to give them options and how they want it communicated with. And then it's going to become a unique selling proposition for you. It's called our communications guarantee. And then we want you to formalize that in the form of like an NCR or carbon copy. We're going to give for you a template, and you print these off. We're going to give you sources where you can have these printed. It's not, there's not much of it. I'm sorry, it doesn't cost much. And you're going to present to them in the presentation your communications guarantee. They're going to say, that totally makes sense. I appreciate that. I want to work with you, Julie. And then you're going to, when it comes time to sign the paperwork, you're going to actually pull out something which is a mirror copy of the communications guarantee from the presentation that you're going to sign and they're going to sign. You're going to then give them a copy and you're going to have a copy. You guys see how this takes the game to the next level and makes you more professional in your community? None of your competitors are going to be operating at this level. Be excited because of the changes in the marketplace.
That's right. So knowledge equals confidence and ignorance equals fear. It's time to get out of fear and freaking out mode and into confidence so you can have better buyer appointments, stay compliant, and thrive in the new world with new rules. You've got this, but yes, you do have to take action. You do have to up your game. If you want to protect your value, you've got to increase your skills, and you've got to, as the talking point goes, articulate your value and end up with that signature because you had a great presentation. Some of you have tried and struggled before, not gotten a signature, you decided to get away from it. It's probably because you weren't using a presentation, or you were, but it wasn't really showing your value. Those days are over.
Julie, I would venture a guess that you're being a little bit, I think.
Nice about it?
Exactly, because I bet you almost 100% of the agents listening right now have never tried to get exclusive buyer agency
They didn't have to.
because they didn't have to,
right.
And because let's just be honest, it put them at a competitive disadvantage.
Sure.
If they were trying to lock down a buyer to work with them. But I need you to sign the agency form and I need you to sign the exclusive. Well, the 10 other agents I've already talked to didn't ask me to sign an exclusive. That would put you at a competitive disadvantage if you didn't know how to convey your value to that prospective buyer. Now everyone's going to have one signed. There is no more options and there's no more variance of that. So guess what? The playing field has been level. Get ahead of the educational curve, which is going to be immense for many agents, and learn how to present this material with confidence, and you'll attract business to you that you might not have otherwise been able to attract to you. Because remember, anytime they talk to a buyer agent, the buyer agent's going to have to ask for that exclusive to be signed. How many of them now are going to do a great job of explaining their value to that prospective buyer? I'm going to go with 0.00001%.
Right. I mean, as much as we all are frustrated by the whole commission lawsuit settlement and all the rule changes and all the stress that's giving us all, I think that this one thing, which is the removal of the world's biggest objection, was kind of a gift, right? Because now that's just not even going to come up
The
because
world's what is the objection?
the biggest objection was, well, why would I sign with you if Bob doesn't make me have to sign, right? And that there wasn't anything wrong with that, and they were right, so you stopped trying to get the signature. That's all gone. That elephant in the room is completely gone, because if there's an agent that's going to do that, they're completely non-compliant, and they're not going to be around for very long.
Well, also, you touched on this too. I think you gave the example of going to the dentist.
Yeah.
Professionals, anybody who's a professional, always, maybe they'll give you a little bit of a, like if you're hiring an attorney, and maybe the attorney is going to give you 30 minutes to frankly decide if he wants to take your case, and you don't have to pay for that. But after that, if you want that, if the attorney wants to do business with you and you want to do a business with that attorney, you're then going to sign a retainer agreement and you're going to write him a check, right? Every single example of all professionals you can think of always has some, industry related, their own industries exclusive, contract signed. And you're going to have to do the same thing. If you're doing it smoothly with this great presentation, with confidence, and the buyer sees what you're doing is way beyond what they thought agents did, or maybe what they experienced in their previous agents, maybe they had a communications problem or all these other things, right? But you're mitigating all of these concerns, and you're showing them your value. And by the way, now you're in alignment with how every other professional on planet Earth has always acted. Don't you see how that's going to raise the level of professionalism in the industry? But it's going to start with you no longer hiding from the new realities this market's going to demand.
That's exactly right. I mean, to use your attorney example, what happened was you made the call. You were talking about them deciding whether they want to do business with you, or maybe it's the type of law that they practice. That's called pre-qualifying, which you guys are used to doing. We talk about pre-qual all the time. And by the way, as part of the ethical real estate professional buyer package we've been talking about, that buyer pre-qual script is included just in case you haven't been using it.
Right.
So then the attorney would decide, okay, this is maybe a client I want to work with. They're going to do a little presentation of what they're going to do for you, and then they're going to ask for your signature. This is a normal sales process. So I don't want you to go another day worried about this, stressed about it. We are taking the stress out of the room by helping you. So make sure you're taking action.
Yes, there you go. We're excited about this, and hopefully you're excited about it as well. Your homework from today's podcast, and get ready to do this now if you haven't done it yet, is simply open up your phone, go to where you're going to send a text. You have to use your SMS feature on your phone, not WhatsApp or anything, and text the word buyer, BUYER, to 47372. We're going to text you back confirming that you want to be part of the campaign. You're going to say yes, then we're going to put you on the list. And then when the program is available, within a matter of weeks, the first 100 agents, we're going to text all of them, letting them know that the program is open. The first 100 agents are joined are going to be part of our founders circle. And then we're going to open it. Then the program's going to be closed for 30 to 45 days, and then we're going to open it again. And I said this yesterday, but it's really important you understand. You're not just buying something that's going to show up from Amazon that's going to show up in a week, right? You're buying something that's going to be a coaching program. We're going to show you how to be a professional dealing with these new realities of real estate, and we're going to coach you on how to say it and what to say. In addition to all the videos and all the training, you guys, I think, will be very impressed. Julie and I are massively excited with this program. It's frankly forcing us to really up our game too. Mm-hmm. So text the word buyer to 47372. Now everyone is asking for our notes because you're wanting to use like notes from today's podcast, yesterday's about interest rates, and all the others for your own social media, for your own training, whatever you're using it for. Do join our newsletter. It is free. All you got to do is go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. harrisrealestatedaily.com is our daily newsletter, which includes the day's podcast in addition to all the notes, all the long form notes, and all the links that we talk about, only available to Harris Real Estate Daily subscribers. So go ahead and go to the website, harrisrealestatedaily.com, and just all you got to do is put in your email address and you're off to the races. In the meantime, thank you for being such loyal listeners to our podcast. Please do share this podcast with as many other agents as you can, right? And like and subscribe. If you're not subscribing on iTunes, if you're just listening every day, you're going to miss a podcast. And this is not the time of year, especially with all these changes, to miss any of this relevant information. If you're on YouTube or whatever, please do subscribe. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.